All right, folks, this one's a lot of fun. In a recent video, I mentioned that Donald Trump took a big hit in a brutal new Fox News poll, which led him to lash out at Fox publicly. But now our favorite Fox News commentator, Jessica Tarlov, got to take a well-deserved victory lap and smugly rub this poll in the face of her MAGA co-host. In one moment, you can actually see one of her MAGA co-hosts visibly deflate as he frantically pulls out an iPad, desperately searching for some good news from a Fox News poll, his own network's poll. It's just pure gold. But before we dive into all of this, if you enjoy the video and want to support the channel, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the alert bell. Now let's start with this clip to give you a taste of what Jessica Tarlov had to endure yesterday. This is her trying to explain to Brian Kilmeade, her co-host, that no, the numbers really are bad for Donald Trump. I'm not making it up. While Kilmeade frantically searches for some positive news.
Going back to my initial point, none of these stories are real.
That's not true. There was an American...
on border security gets 55% approval.
We're in immigration, where Brian, I'm not making it up.
You can just imagine Kilmeade's frustration, thinking, God, please give me some good news, as Jessica calmly responds, look at immigration, I'm not making it up. And honestly, she's right. Before we dive into some more fantastic clips of Jessica taking her well-earned victory lap, let me provide a bit of context. She directly references the clip I'm about to show you, where Brett Baier is forced to announce the bad news. Fox News' own poll is not looking good for Trump.
President talking tariffs and the economy. If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%. And you see his first term at 45% at this mark, the 100-day mark. We have other new polls that are revealing some concerns about the economy. Let's talk about that.
So you see that. So Trump term 2 is 44%. Trump term 1 is 45%. This is very relevant to the next clip I'm going to show you of Jessica Darl Biden kicking Trump's ass at this point in his presidency. 54% approval. President Obama, 62% approval, and President Bush, a 63% approval, okay? Now again, before this clip I'm about to play, this prompted Trump to lash out. He says, Rupert Murdoch has told me for years that he's going to get rid of his Fox News Trump-hating fake pollster, but he's never done so. This pollster has gotten me and MAGA wrong for years. And also, while he's at it, he should start making changes at the China-loving Wall Street Journal. It sucks. Okay. Trump can't handle it. With all of that said, here is Jess taking just again a well-earned victory lap.
Do you think this is the dry hole we're portraying it as, or do you see some benefit for the Democrats continuing to get behind this guy?
Well, there's definitely benefit to it. And that doesn't mean that I don't think the majority of the emphasis should be on the economy. But if you look at our own latest polling, the Fox poll that came out yesterday, Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac, now Donald Trump is underwater on immigration, which was his strongest issue. So he's above on the border, right, and deportations. But generally speaking on immigration, he's underwater. 2-to-1 margins in the YouGov poll that Americans think that Albrego Garcia should be brought back here.
Because they're not getting the information.
No, it's not because they're not getting the information. What they were able to do, actually, is understand contextually what is going on here. So if it's not just about Albrego Garcia, it is about...
What was the question? What was the poll question? I guarantee you...
Now you're a pollster?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I guarantee you it was worded in a way to get an intended answer.
I can guarantee you that our own polling that showed him underwater on immigration was fair, and that the American public thinks that his policies are too harsh. And
okay, keep that in mind. We're about to play another one here because she references the Brett Baier graphic, and it's so good, so good. Here.
It up. You know what else? Brett Baier had a beautiful graphic. I might frame it on my wall that had the approval ratings for the last 6 presidents for the first 100 days. Donald Trump is now the lowest. He beat himself. So he was at 45% in the first 100 days of Trump 1.0, and now he's at 44%. His economic ratings have gone down by 20%. The American public don't trust him on cost of living, inflation, all the things he was hired to do. They know the tariffs are a tax on them. The CEOs of Walmart and Target and Home Depot have to go into his office and beg him to stop so that the shelves won't be empty. There are containers coming from China that can't get here because of these tariffs, 145%. Or maybe it's 50%.
What does this have to do with The Maryland dad.
Right.
It has to do with what Trump is doing. And there are all of these GOP appointed judges that are ruling against him, saying a path of perfect lawlessness, brazen example of retaliation.
Put it this way, you're just actually undoing your whole point, Jessica.
No, I'm not.
Because they are focusing on this guy who basically every day we find out. I don't know how he could be underwater. He might be under 50%, but he's not underwater on immigration.
Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac, just honestly,
he's winning on deportation. You agree with that?
But 2-1 that this guy should be returned. Listen,
keep defending a gangbanger all you want.
But you're saying they should emphasize the economy. That's what you're saying.
I understand that you want me to try to unravel everything that I said. The economy is what drives people to the polls. He now only has a 27% rating with Hispanic voters because he's not focused on the economy and their costs haven't gone down.
So are you saying he's going to have a hard time being reelected in 2028?
Well, he's wearing, Eric Trump is wearing a hat that says Trump 2028
This is very similar. When Ronald Reagan made titanic changes in the economy, initially people panicked.
Donald Trump.
We knew it was going to be easy.
You did.
But he's actually doing just as titanic
people who
moves.
can afford to sit there and say,
at least he's leading the country. Your guy wasn't even present.
We'll see. Big, beautiful bill.
I just love it. Like, they're desperate. Sure, he might be unpopular, but he's not underwater on immigration. He is in many, many polls, in an increasing number of polls. He's losing his last polling advantage, which isn't the economy. He sacrificed that several weeks ago. He's losing even on immigration because even though under certain circumstances in some polling questions, people support the broad notion of deporting undocumented migrants, they want it done humanely. They want violent offenders to be ejected. They don't want people who have been here and lived peacefully and productively to be kicked out. And they certainly don't want due process violated. So even though the American people, I would say yes, overall, have taken a rightward shift on immigration that I think has gone too far. Even now, they don't support the authoritarian excesses of Trump. Even on immigration, yes, he's losing ground there too. And Brian Kilmeade just desperate not to believe it.
He might be under 50%, but he's not underwater on immigration.
Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac, just honestly,
he's winning on deportation. You agree with that?
But 2-1 that this guy should be returned. Listen,
keep defending a gangbanger all you want.
But you're saying they should emphasize the economy. That's what you're saying.
I understand that you want me to try to unravel everything that I said. The economy is what drives people to the polls. He now only has a 27% rating with Hispanic voters because he's not focused on the economy and their costs haven't gone down.
So are you saying he's going to have a hard time being reelected in 2028?
Well, he's wearing, Eric Trump is wearing a hat that says Trump 2028
This is very similar. When Ronald Reagan made titanic changes in the economy, initially people panicked.
Donald Trump.
We knew it was going to be easy.
You did.
But he's actually doing just as titanic moves.
People who can afford to sit there and say,
at least he's leading the country. Your guy wasn't even present.
We'll see. Big, beautiful bill.
And again, know how Dana Perino contributes absolutely nothing to this because she's not as MAGA as Brian Kilmeade or even Kayleigh McEnany, the blonde on the end there, who was a former Trump press secretary. But she's also too dishonest to admit that, Donald Trump really isn't in a good place here. And she's desperate to believe otherwise. So what does she usually do in these situations? Stays quiet as a church mouse? She is the least likely to heckle. See, you know what? Actually, Jessica has a point, right? She's just like, oh my God, I don't really want to be caught red-handed and I don't want to go as far as Brian and Greg Gutfeld and others, but it's so pathetic. And Jessica is waging a one-woman war on the insanity of Fox News and always outnumbered, never outgunned.
He's wearing a hat that says Trump 2028
This is very similar. When Ronald Reagan made titanic changes in the economy, initially people panicked.
Donald Trump.
We knew it was going to be easy.
You did.
But he's actually doing just as titanic moves.
People who can afford to sit there and say,
at least he's leading the country. Your guy wasn't even present.
We'll see. Big, beautiful bill.
He's leading the country into the gutter, no doubt about it. I absolutely love that Jessica gets to take this victory lap. And it's hilarious watching Greg Gutfeld try to deflect from the substance. Unable to engage with the facts, he resorts to making a joke. But it falls flat. Jessica swoops in, steals the punchline, and uses it against him. Meanwhile, Kilmeade is frantically pulling out his iPad, begging for some good news. Okay, he's fine with border security, Kilmeade says, focusing on a very specific part of the immigration issue. But the bigger picture is that Trump is losing ground on immigration, largely due to self-inflicted wounds like the Kilmargo Garcia case. Jessica expertly uses this moment to point out Trump's failures in other areas, like foreign policy and the economy. Then, Kilmeade scrambles, trying to draw a comparison to Ronald Reagan, pointing out that Reagan also had polling struggles. The difference, though, is that we had actual evidence of Reagan's popularity. Trump, on the other hand, has been historically unpopular, never had strong approval ratings, and didn't even win the popular vote in 2016. He won by a plurality, not a majority. Kilmeade's essentially treating Trump's potential future success as a matter of faith, assuming he'll somehow turn things around and have a Reagan-like surge in popularity, despite the lack of evidence. It's just priceless watching Kilmeade squirm, while Jessica highlights the stark reality, with Brett Baier reluctantly reporting the bad news on Fox's own poll. And the look on Kilmeade's face as he scrambles to find anything to support Trump, it's classic. Jessica definitely deserves this long overdue victory lap, and I'm glad she took it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.